I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network, and this is a breaking news alert. A MAGA cultist who burned his own camper and sprayed graffiti on his own garage door that said Biden 2020, Black Lives Matter, and Antifa back in 2020 before the November elections to try to conjure sympathy and engage in wire fraud, defrauding insurance companies to the tune of $300,000 and making this complete fraudulent story on GoFundMe about saving his little puppy and how he was targeted because he was a Trump supporter. BS. He stole another $17,000 from people on GoFundMe. He was indicted on July 11th, 2022, and he was in court sobbing and whining, whippity is me. You are going to jail, buddy. He pled guilty to wire fraud. I have no sympathy for this individual. According to the indictment announced on July 12th, 2022, the Brooklyn Center man from Minneapolis was indicted back then for wire fraud after filing fraudulent insurance claims for a staged arson that was announced by the United States Attorney Andrew M. Luger. According to court documents on September 23rd, 2020, Dennis Vladimir Mola, 29, falsely reported to law enforcement that someone had lit his camper on fire. Mola reported that his garage door was vandalized with spray-painted graffiti stating Biden 2020, Black Lives Matter, and Antifa symbols, and that his camper was targeted because it had a Trump 2020 flag displayed on it. Pathetic. In reality, Mola started his own fire on his own property and spray painted the graffiti on his own garage. According to court documents, Mola submitted multiple insurance claims seeking coverage for the damage to his garage, camper, vehicles, and residents caused by the fire. And when Mola's insurance company denied some of those claims, Mola submitted written complaints. Such a MAGA quality. He then complained to the insurance companies, claiming that it was defrauding him, and he threatened to report the insurance companies to the Department of Commerce and to the Attorney General. He also created 2 GoFundMe accounts to benefit himself and his family. And then it says, in total, Mola submitted more than $300,000 in fraudulent insurance claims, out of which he received about $61,000. He complained about the other denials, and he received approximately $17,000 from individual donors via GoFundMe, the tactic of Steve Bannon and other MAGA individuals. He was charged with 2 counts of wire fraud, which he pled guilty to today. Another MAGA imprisoned for fraud. And as you reflect a lot about what took place in 2020 and a lot of the conduct that took place post the murder of George Floyd, I think we know about Mola. Mola was caught. And Mola was caught because Mola just kept on complaining and whining to the insurance agency while they referred him to be investigated for his fraud. He kept on whining and said he was going to complain and complain and complain. Fortunately, he got caught with this dastardly act, but he spoke in front of the media at that time. Oh, as a Trump supporter, I'm being targeted, and the Biden supporters are spray painting this all over it, and they're putting Black Lives Matter on my vehicle for the Trump flag. Mola got caught. But how many other Molas are still out there? We've heard about that reporting at that time period where all of the things that the right wing tries to claim, there's horrific stuff that they try to claim. These Marjorie Taylor Greenes who claim that these victims of school shootings are crisis actors, and they go around, you're crisis actors, you're crisis actors. It's all projection. It's all projection. And they're saying it because they actually do stuff like this. They attack people who have experienced unfathomable horrors. How dare they go and attack victims who just barely survived school shootings and denigrate their families and spread those lies and call them crisis actors? But they're doing it themselves. They are out there in Brooklyn Center, Minneapolis, lighting their campers on fire and spraying graffiti and then submitting insurance claims. It's a grift. It's a crime. They are frauds. They are phonies. And they model themselves after the cult leader, Donald Trump, who is the biggest phony fraud who lied, cheated, stealed his entire freaking life. That's not a political issue, okay? It's not an issue of being a Democrat. It shouldn't be an issue of being a Republican. It should be an issue of being an adult or just being a decent human being. And when I hear stories like this, Dennis Mullah, people like that, faking, dividing, lying, harming, cheating, stealing, that's MAGA. That's why we need to stand up. We need to let people, this is not a normal group of Republicans. These are criminals, these are frauds, and we need to call it out at all times. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Be sure to hit the subscribe button right now. We are on our way to 1 million subscribers, thanks to you. Also, if you want to support independent media like this, here's what you can do. Go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Different membership tiers there. Join one that you want to be a part of. Backstage, behind the scenes footage. You can become an honorary producer of the podcast and more. Patreon.com/MeidasTouch. I'm Ben Meiselas. Until next time.
MeidasTouch is unapologetically pro-democracy. And look, we know you are too. So please make sure you check out our best-selling shirt and our best-selling gear, the unapologetically pro-democracy gear. And hey, while you're at it, make sure you check out my favorite shirt and one of our most famous designs. It wasn't rigged, you're just a loser. At store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.